I'm your host, Sandy Lowries. Today in the Good Girl Confessional podcast, I'm so excited to have special guests Kate Murphy and Kim Berry, who together joined forces and they host the fabulously popular The Hot Flush, which is the premier podcast for peri-menopausal people. If you haven't listened to The Hot Flush, please get on board. It's pretty amazing. I'm really excited today to speak to them and I can't wait. So welcome, Kate and Kim.
So how are you going? Like, the success of your podcast, The Hot Flush, is extraordinary.
Yes, it's that whole thing. You know, when you see a new star or a new actor that comes to the fore and everyone just goes, oh, overnight sensation. And it's like, oh my God, we've been working at this night and day for 4 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was sort of one of the first podcasts. We had a podcast prior to this one imaginatively called
Woog and Berry.
So we were sort of at the beginning of the podcast trend and we got really comfortable very quickly doing it. And then about 4 years ago, we noticed that a lot of our audience was talking about things that were going on in their lives. And we just went, there's no one really having these conversations. So that's when we rebranded into the Hot Flush.
Yes.
Yay. And of course, I have been following you, Kate, since about 2008.
Oh, wow.
So I know you're not an overnight sensation. And I have also, and I've also been following you, Kim. So, I was definitely following you, at Woogsworld, obviously. And Kim, I have followed along with you with All Consuming and now All Consuming Food. Well done.
Oh, look, really, it is so neglected. I haven't even put anything up there for months.
You've got a bit going on, love.
Yeah, a bit going on. I'd really love to populate it on a regular basis, just with whatever I'm, with things that I'm cooking but it's that whole, when you sit down and then you've got to, get a photo in and then make sure that the formatting of a recipe is right. And it's just like, do that.
It's a lot of hard work, right? I don't think people realise how much work goes into a blog or how much work goes into your Instagram and your Facebook and then a podcast.
And I think even just coordinating the community attached to those projects on the Facebook community pages. I mean, that's a lot of work.
Yeah. And I think that that's something that we both, it's such it's an interesting space because it's just so rewarding and so lovely to see this community that's coming together through something that we've done. And just the joy and
it's the best part of the job.
It's the best part. But then we do both sometimes have to pull back a bit and just go, whew, I just need to just focus. Not today. I just need to focus on my family for a few days. And so I think that because we're both big sort of people pleasers and huge empaths. And so as soon as...
Do you know what? I wish I was a narcissist.
I know, don't you reckon?
I have a conversation with my girlfriends about this all the time. Don't you wish you were more of an asshat? Seriously.
Oh, yeah. Life would be so much easier.
So easy. Yeah.
So easy. You would just, breeze through it.
Nothing would bother you. Everyone's an idiot. I'm right, you're wrong. End of story.
Yeah. So it's it's an interesting sort of space, and I think that Woogs is right on the money. That community the community pages are the things that are incredibly time consuming, but also the most rewarding. So.
Well, and before all of this technology, of course, people lived in villages and they had support, whereas that support now has moved online, more so this year than ever, actually, obviously. Duh.
And I'm developing a theory that whole village thing's a complete misnomer. I reckon that's an urban myth.
Really?
Because think about our mother's generation and the generations before that. They didn't talk about it. They didn't talk about going through menopause. They didn't talk about prenatal, postnatal depression.
No.
So this whole village was all around each other, supporting each other. I don't think it was. I think that's just the good old days. And it's
no, because they used to put women in the mental facilities.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were crying and they wouldn't stop crying. And what's
going hysterical.
How dare we be? They did used to put women in mental institutions, in institutions. So even if they were, hello, someone's walking past.
Oh, that's Oscar.
even if they would like to read a novel. So really, just back in the day, we had it so good, right?
I know. Yeah.
How dare we? How dare we? So I love this idea that you've come together to talk about, you call it, the premier podcast for peri-menopausal people. Is that right? Or the peri-menopausal. See, you can tell I'm peri-menopausal because I can't even remember that, and I just looked at it 5 minutes ago.
But you know what? You've just raised you've actually just said something very sensible. You've called it peri-menopausal people, and that's really important because not all uterus owners classify themselves as women. So I think we're going to have to rebadge peri-menopausal people.
Feel free to have it. I think of it like that every time I look at your page, I think, oh yeah, peri-menopausal with people because, but I'm definitely like you girls are in your 40s still. So I'm like 51 and wait for that. Oh, I bloody am so. You look
so young.
I am like 51.
51. I literally thought you were 35. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh my. I love you both. You're now my besties. But no, seriously, 51.
Oh, you look great.
51, well, not mother of dragons, but definitely mother of a 29-year-old and a 23-year-old and a 20-year-old. God help me.
Wow. If I could do maths, I'd be working out that you were very young at your first one.
I was young. Hence why there's a big age gap, right, between the first and the rest.
What do you use on your skin, good woman?
Do you know what? My skin is so dry at the moment. I was freaking out before in the light because I am perimenopausal, ladies. My skin is so dry. Yes. And I just started using just coconut oil. Don't laugh because I've tried everything. And I had this really amazing woman on the podcast. She's gorgeous. She's a good friend, but she's African-American, lives in Kentucky. But her skin, she looks like she's 20. And she's older than me. And I said, what the hell do you use? And she said, coconut oil. And so she said she just uses it everywhere, hair, face, skin, and always has. And back in the day, she was a model. So I just kind of took that. I know.
I would just walk around like an oil slick. Everything would fall off me.
Me too.
I'd slip over. I'd slip over. I would just be dripping. It'd be like I'd just stepped out of a deep fryer and doused myself in Malibu.
Well, I would because look how white, I'm so fair, it's crazy. Yeah. Yesterday, because I'm obviously down here in stage 4 lockdown, Melbourne, and God help us. And first day of sunshine yesterday, and I'm already burnt. I don't know if you can see that.
Look at that.
But I'm
you're down south. It's vicious down there.
It's vicious. And it's getting worse.
Because Rob comes from Adelaide and he just is completely sun phobic. And he said it's because he grew up in Adelaide. And it's like, they're basically like, the sun will kill you. And it's drilled into them from birth. And it is so hot in that godforsaken city that I'm not surprised.
It is. But let's not try and piss everyone off, Kim.
No, but the good part about down here, we don't get that much sunshine in here. So when we do get it, it's fierce, but luckily we don't have to suffer through much of it. Like Sydney now, I think you've forgotten what winter's like, haven't you?
No, this winter it's been quite cold this winter.
But, I do love to talk about the weather. There is a thunder warning this afternoon. It's been blazingly hot this morning and we're expecting a big storm.
I do love a storm.
So that just gives me something to have anxiety about.
This is another fine example of the age that we're at.
Yeah, we're talking about the weather.
About our spring plantings. I might take cutting out of Woogs' garden. Not a euphemism.
Oh, nice.
And
I love that. What sort of cutting are you going to take?
And let her ask some more questions.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm happy to just chat. It's conversational, love. So, what sort of cutting are you going to take? Because I was just saying on the weekend to my partner, can he pop around the corner and steal some rosemary from my neighbour so I can plant it? Because down here I tried to buy rosemary plants from Bunnings and they're all sold out. It's not much for us to do down here.
I bought a rosemary, put it in our front garden because it gets full blazing sun.
I seriously want to pain myself right now.
And my mum pulled it out because we live with my mum, and she claims it was dead, but I reckon she just didn't like it because I planted it in there next to the lavender.
God.
But you'd have to propagate lavender. You'd have to propagate rosemary. You wouldn't be able to just stick it in the ground.
Oh, see, I'm glad you told me that, because obviously at 51, I like to think I just can try on new things. I have no idea. I am not a green thumb.
No, I think because it has a woody stem. Listen to me. Listen. This
I'm
is
listening. I'm listening.
Terrible. Terrible. I can't believe I'm talking about this. Make it stop.
I'm not going. I'm going away. If you don't stop talking about this, I'm out of here. And this
Sorry, girls. Sorry.
Rosemary.
Kim, you can tell me later about the rosemary plant.
I'm bored now.
Succulents you can just pluck and jam in the ground.
Yeah, true.
That's
true.
A woody stem, you're going to have to propagate it.
Oh, propagate.
Write the word propagate one more time. I'm going to fucking lose it.
And speaking about propagating, let's talk about the podcast.
Yes.
So you gorgeous ladies, so you guys knew each other a long time ago and then came back together a few years back. Is that right?
Yes. Oh, yes. We went to university at Charles Sturt Bathurst.
10 years ago. It was a joke.
10 years ago.
That was 1992, I do believe.
It was.
And then we went on our own merry ways. And then blogging started coming at about, I don't know, 2000 and mid-2000s.
Yeah, about 2005.
Blogging became a thing, and there was a very small community of bloggers in Australia, and we were sort of one of a small group of bloggers. And then I'm like, I know that name.
I know. I just went, that's Kate Murphy.
That's Kate Murphy.
And you were like, that's Kim Palmer.
Yeah, who does she think she is? That's good bullshit.
And then she was like really successful because she worked really hard at it. And she networked and posted every day and just absolutely flogged it. She was great. And I just sat there doing mine, just going, no one likes me. Why won't anyone give me advertising? I want to get paid posts. And then I had a paid post for something, and one of my friends said, oh, Kim, I could hear your toes curling while you were writing it. And I kind of went, that's probably a bit of a sign.
and then we just, then I was contacted by a man who was starting a podcasting network, and he said, you're pretty funny. Do you want to do a podcast? And I said, yeah, but I want to have someone with me. I absolutely 100% first person I thought it was Kim. So that was
fantastic.
7 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. And the rest is history. And of course, as soon as it started, we kind of went in, and I don't even think the first time round we even really had notes, did we? When we were doing Woog and Berry? Oh, no, maybe we were quite planned.
We were quite
organised back then.
We were quite planned, but then we would start and get off the chain. So now we do have some sort of basic structure. The first half is we've got certain topics that we talk about all the time. And the second half is feedback from listeners, and we all talk about a certain topic each week. So last week it was like how to get yourself out of just a thunderously bad mood, because that's one of the things that we go through. And I think the other thing that we're going to talk about moving forward is this afternoon fatigue bullshit.
Oh, okay. Afternoon fatigue? Yeah. And then a nap.
Oh, yeah. Do you get it?
Yeah, you know what? I've started on patches.
Ah,
yay. So I had a marina inserted a while ago, and thanks to, peri-menopause, because I just found I was bleeding all the time, and that was horrible, and I was cranky all the time. All the time. And, gaining a lot of weight, just everything. And then, the weight gain has continued, but I decided down the track after my 50th birthday it was when I turned 51, that I decided, I might actually go and have a chat to the doctor about this. I don't know that it's all normal. A friend of mine who is part of your gorgeous community, I have a number of friends who are part of your gorgeous.
Oh, welcome.
But a friend of mine has been on these patches for like 10 years and swears by them and said it changed her life. Another friend recently went on them before me, and because, we talk about this stuff infinitum, she actually said to me, it's changed my life. I actually slept. And I thought, what? It's all the stuff you just kind of think is becoming your new normal, you know. But I will say the patches have made a huge difference. I feel like I'm not having as many hot flushes.
Oh,
terrific.
And don't you think, that's enough? If that's
enough.
The only positive, that's still that's good.
It's great. I can deal with the weight gain. I don't love it, but I am sleeping better. Yeah, thanks, Kim. That's true. Is that what you asked me? Am I saying? Yeah. Yep. So I feel like I've got more clarity. I'm less foggy all the time.
I need that.
That's amazing. I was chatting with my shrink today about it.
Yeah.
And he was saying, and from his professional point of view, because there's been lots of discussion on the Facebook page lately about being prescribed antidepressants as part of your treatment for perimenopause, and there's some really, sort of different schools of thought around that.
Yeah.
But so I said to him, what's your opinion on HRT? And he said, look, it really comes down to an individual decision for each woman. And he said, because there's so many different factors at play. And he said, you could have two women present with medically the same symptoms, but for one of those women, it's completely debilitating. And for the other one, it's quite manageable through some simple, things in her life, or it's not even, she's just, for whatever reason, those two. And he said, so you have to just give it that space to decide whether it's for you or whether it's not. And I thought that was really interesting, because my gyno gave me a script for patches a couple of years back, probably quite early on when we first started the podcast. And for whatever reason, I just couldn't get it filled. I felt I had it, and I was really apprehensive about what it was going to do to my mental health, because I've had such a long history of mental health problems, and I've, seen my shrink, and I'm medicated to the hilt for that. And I was really worried about suddenly putting hormone patches on me was just going to create a new perfect storm. But for me, there was also an element of, where's the end point? So how long do I wear these for? What's the duration? And my gyno was like, well, some women just use them for the rest of their life. And at whatever, I must have only been 44 or 45. And I just went, I don't know. I don't think I'm happy with that as an option. And so I kind of just sat on it. And then when I was talking today, I actually went, I think my symptoms are better. I think my symptoms are less than what they were, say, 3 years ago. And I was like, that's really curious, interesting. I'm only 47 though, so I don't know if that means it's easing or I'm through the eye of my storm, or I don't know. But I don't feel at the moment like I don't feel the need to go onto HRT.
Yeah, and I think
I look and hear of all the experience of so many women in our group.
I'm certainly not going to rule it out for me.
And you just you see those that whose lives were just being so turned upside down by perimenopause, and how they got their life back, and why, go for it. All the power, my God, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I do think it's so different for every single woman. I grew up with this group of chicks, there's 8 of us, and, we went through first periods together and getting boobs and kissing boys and whatever, marriages, divorces, all the things, kids, all of it. And so now we're all going through menopause at the same time, but I will say it's completely different for everyone.
Yeah, right.
The number of us going, oh my God, the hot flushes are killing me and I can't sleep and whatever, and other people going, no, I'm not really feeling that.
And some women just sail on through it with nothing. Yeah. And aren't they lucky? Seriously,
awesome. You know what? Exactly. Whatever, they've sailed through that, but you never know what the rest of their story is. They might have had just the most horrendous pregnancies, or they've had some other,
It's not a competition either.
It's not a competition. No, we are all our worst enemy with that. Women, oh my God, why are we so competitive?
It's crazy, isn't it? And then even watching, as you say, in your beautiful community, because I'm part of that. And I just, as you say, it's so beautiful to see people getting their lives back. But, what's really nice in your beautiful community, I'm not going to call it just a group because it is a community, is that kind of pulling back from that competitive crap and just kind of saying, you know, what works for one person is fantastic. If it works for you, great. But when, you know, no one has to go and do what I'm doing, for example, or what the gym next to me is doing, and what works.
And also, it's complex medical stuff, and we're not doctors. You know, we can only talk about our own experiences and provide a place for others to share theirs. So we're also very conscious that it's not a medical.
Yeah, we're really not. We're really not. But I think that's one of the things that people like about the hot flush is it's actually where it's like that conversation you have with your girlfriends, and then you get the kick up the ass to go and see your GP or go and see your specialist, or, you know, have that difficult conversation with your partner because someone in the group has sort of gone,
I've got a little interest in you. I'm going to follow this up with you. And the friendships that have come off the back of that group are amazing. You know, they have local meetups and things like that. They all look out for each other. It's really nice. It's funny because Facebook could be so horrible, but my experience of doing this for a long time now has been really positive.
Yeah. And we just kick people out.
And we just kick people out if we don't like them.
Yeah. And that's important, right? I mean, that's the thing. It's a safe kind of community.
We run a zero tolerance policy. It's just like, nah, not cool.
Yeah.
And sometimes even if she doesn't like the tone of the language used, she'll kick someone out.
It's very much about tone. And, and it is like, it's a different medium. We're not seeing each other. You're not picking up on the tone. People need to be thoughtful and
not saying it's full of Pollyannas, because it's not. You can have a disagreement with someone. Hell, God, that makes life interesting. But when it resorts to someone just going, well, you're just a fucking bitch, like, it's like, that's not helpful. No.
Yeah.
Only I'm allowed to talk to me like that.
and that's a really fantastic point, Kate, because don't we all talk to ourselves like that?
Oh, yeah. We had a discussion recently about this one because Kim was just after we'd recently been on a television show, and Kim was getting herself quite worked up because she thought she didn't look good on the television show. Like, she's beautiful, but she's gone straight to the I'm never eating again ridiculousness.
Yeah, and the fat shame spiral kicked in.
And I just said, stop it.
She did say stop it.
Good.
And it's and you know, it's a really interesting thing, because the thing that perimenopause does is it makes you, just through what it does to you, it makes you reevaluate so many aspects of who you are as a person and what your life looks like. And a lot of these things that have just been in part of your DNA and part of your internal dialogue for decades just rear their head again, because your hormone just roller coaster decides it's going to dig things up and spit them back into your brain and just see where it may land. And it's that in and of itself is a really challenging process, you know, and I thought I'd dealt with all that sort of stuff. You know, I thought I'd dealt with the body image and the somehow the value that somehow what I weigh reflects my value as a human. I kind of thought that I'd dealt with that.
No, apparently not.
Apparently being on a national TV show, just has it gallop back in.
If you've dealt with that.
From the back paddock. I'm just here. I'm just going to gnaw at you for, you know.
If you've dealt with that, you're a guru, because I don't think I know any woman who truly 100% has dealt with it. You know, I think that we get to a point where we go, I can live with it. Like I quite like who I am. I kind of love myself and whatever, but believe me, we've all got crap about ourselves that lives in that little back part, you know.
Yeah.
And
it's amazing what a good therapist, because I also go to therapy, and it's an amazing thing that some things will come up and you're like, oh, that's right. I never dealt with that properly before. And by having the right therapist, it just totally frees your mind of so many things that other people might have said to you that you've hung on to subconsciously.
Yeah.
So silly.
I agree. And, you know, I'm all for a good therapist. I think, you know, if people are struggling, that's another great thing to do, right? Is just get out there and see someone. It's the best thing ever.
That having that impartial person is such a valuable experience. And I think particularly if you know, if women are really struggling with their anxiety during this stage of their life, and they go and see someone and they go, it wasn't really helpful. It wasn't really, like, try someone else.
Yeah.
Like,
it takes a while to find the right person.
You've got to find the person that,
it's like a relationship,
that taps into how you tick. And I mean, I've seeing
got Dr. Susan. She's lovely.
Yes.
She just lets me cry and cry, and then she tells me how amazing I am, and then that's
shout out to Dr. Susan then.
That's what works for me. I just need some
that's great
empathy.
though.
I just need someone to say you're doing a good job, and because, you know, certain things that happen with me, and I sort of lose my confidence and you know, question what I'm doing and whether it's valuable and all the rest of that bullshit. And I just need someone to let me have a cry.
Yeah.
Are you crying?
No.
Oh.
I hope you're not crying.
No, I'm not crying.
But it's okay if you are too. It's okay if you are too,
Of course.
right, girls? See, that's the other thing too. It's okay to cry.
I like to save that for my GP and my shrink's office.
Yes, you do.
Or I did cry on the telly the other day.
Did you? Yeah. Oh, on Insight.
Yeah.
Insight. I was going to ask you girls about Insight. So congratulations on the SBS Insight case, because it was fab, by the way.
Yes.
And you both looked fabulous, by the way. You really did.
Thank you.
And I love your green boots.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, our friend Baby Mac sent me a text and with a picture of those boots and said, you need to buy these. And this was like weeks ago, like months ago. And they were on sale. And I just wrote back to her and went, yes, I do. I don't wear high heels anymore because I just, you know, I fall over, I roll my ankles. I've got terrible lower back problems, you know. And so I have an extensive, awesome collection of flat shoes, but I just saw them and I went, yes, I need those green high heel boots. And I bought them.
And then I also wore green, so people were looking at us thinking
that we've done matchy-matchy.
Have you gone matchy-matchy? And we hadn't.
I was going to ask you that as well. Was it? You did look lovely and coordinated. I loved it.
Kate was dressed by Jack,
my son,
her son, who has the eye.
He's got a very good eye.
He's very good at
very good eye, and he's a fabulous dancer, by the way, too.
He is. He's hitting his straps in year 9 now, but interesting.
Year 9.
Year 9.
Hands up who loves having a kid in year 9.
I tell you what, girls, I'd like to say it gets better. It gets better, but year 9 is absolutely the worst. I'm sorry, but it is. It's kind of that year where they're either going off the rails, they're going to make it, or they're not. I don't know. It's a weird year.
Do you know what? It's like when boys are sort of age 7 and 8.
Yeah.
It's like that's the first round. And then they do it again in year 9. And you're just like, oh, for the love of God. And then they kind of come good.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that now.
And then they get into their 20s and you just go, oh, you're really rather lovely. Mm. And then they move out. And you go, can you come back?
Yeah. Can you come back now, please? Yeah, that'd be good.
I watched a movie last night. I watched a movie with my 20-year-old last night, and it was so lovely. It was just, because he goes...
Did you propagate?
No. Okay, that just sounds illegal.
No, I was thinking about, like, you're going back to your conversation about talking about things like that.
No, I did not.
Oh, did you think copulate?
Yeah, no, I didn't think copulate, but propagate sounds like copulate. So that's why I was saying that just sounds illegal, because propagate just sounds terrible. That's why I'm like looking at you going, what the fuck? Why would I propagate anything with Felix? Anyway.
What did you watch? What did you watch?
That movie Vice. We watched the movie Vice with Christian Bale about Dick Cheney. I don't know why I watched that. I'm still raging about it. I was angry about that man's existence beforehand, and now I am just, it's incandescent. Anyway, but yeah, he's 20 and they just don't hang out with you anymore. Like, they are never there. And so when they actually do, and you just sit and you have those little chats, and it's just fun and silly, and you just go, oh, why is it that once you're like this, that then you leave?
Yeah, it's a weird kind of phenomenon, isn't it?
Yeah, because yours are older.
Well, yeah. So I've got a daughter in between, because Kit, you've got 4 boys, haven't you, Kim?
Yeah.
And Kate, you've got 2.
Yeah.
And so between you, 6 boys.
Yeah, 6 boys.
Good grief, women. Good grief. How do you look so young?
Boys are awesome.
Boys are phenomenal. I love boys, but I will say year 9 is a challenging year for boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd sooner have a year 9 boy than a teenage girl at all.
Do you know what? I sort of lucked it in with my daughter. She's sort of the rose between two. So she's a very
either good or bad.
How old's yours?
So my oldest son is 29. My youngest son is 20.
Yeah.
So it's like 9.5 years between them. My daughter is 23, but she's sort of really, she's really kind of this sweet, quiet kid. I don't know where she came from, clearly not from me. But she, the most she would do is kind of, stomp her feet and storm off to the bedroom and slam a door. Like I didn't really go through all the chaos that some girls go through. I tell you what, man. But the boys, they've all been pretty good.
Don't you reckon? Like it's still, we're raising humans. Like what a privilege.
So lucky.
Like, even when they just make you, go grey and worry yourself into an early grave and, all of that. What a privilege to be able to play a role in in a human becoming a functioning member of a society. Like,
you have drunk the Kool-Aid.
I have. I really have.
Kool-Aid is coming out in you strong.
Yeah.
I just thinking back to last night, me looking at my son, he just played his grand final and he got up and did a speech in front of the whole club and it was just beautiful. And I'm like, oh, you're so handsome and you're so clever and I made you. And then we had the biggest fucking fight in the car on the way home. And I'm like, no, I'm done. You're a dick.
But that's what happens, right? I mean, there's this kind of roller coaster of the parental thing that goes on, isn't it? Because you love them so much, you just want to friggin' squeeze them. And then sometimes you really do love them, but you actually want to squeeze the life out of them. You know what I'm saying?
My mum used to say something to me which never made sense. And it's like, I love you all the time, Kate, but sometimes I just don't like you very much.
My mother used to say the same thing, Kate.
That's a terrible thing to say.
Yeah, I love you all the time, but sometimes I don't like you very much.
My mother used to say that to me all the time. She'd say, I love you, Sandy, but I don't like you today. I just don't like you. I go, thanks, Mum. Thanks.
Let me just remunerate over that for 47 years until it comes out when I'm doing a podcast.
See, there you go.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing to say to a human. That's a terrible thing. I'm really upset for you.
And her too.
And you. I'm really upset.
I know it's okay. I've survived it. It's all good. Don't get upset. I'm fine. Are you fine, Kate? How you do? You'll have to write a note about that. Okay. I'm serious. No, it did. I used to say these things to my mum as she got older, though. She's passed away now, bless her. But I used to say to her all the things that she used to say to me as a kid. And she'd say, I did not say that. And I'd say, yeah, you did. And I'd actually tell her when she said it.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's like when I used to get a smack with the Board of Education. You loved growing up in my house. And she'd say things like, this hurts me more than it hurts you. And I'm like, I can see no logic in that whatsoever. It kind of fucking hurts, Mum.
Oh, wow. I'm not, it's not.
I turned out fine. Yeah, she's fine. Absolutely fine.
Oh, what a group hug. Anyway, so are you all right, Kate?
Yeah, I love my mum. Yeah, she's great.
Yep, I loved mine too. She used to just say all those things. I think that it's a really interesting way they were brought up themselves.
It's exactly. Well, if you look at things like gay marriage and all of that stuff, that's our generation's doing. It's not theirs.
Yeah.
And the fact that if you hit your kid now, like you actually should go to jail because that's assault.
Yeah.
But, at their generation, they were just modelling on what would happen to them.
Yeah.
So we've decided, this generation has decided that that's not actually the right way to go about being a decent human.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Good on us.
Yes. Where's my fucking award?
Yeah. Where's our prize?
We all deserve a medal for that. We're getting medals.
Yeah.
I have to order some medals in. I love it. So with the podcast, ladies, so when you decide, so was it an automatic thing to just go, let's just start, like you did the first podcast, but then when did you decide to like cut it over and go, let's just talk about all things perimenopausal?
Because that was the direction in which the conversations were going. So it was very organic.
Yeah. So I think what we found was when we were getting together, we were just were whinging a lot.
There's this thing called the sandwich generation, of which we are.
So we were like, I don't understand. I'm really hot all the time. I don't understand why I'm so angry all the time.
I'm worried about my mum.
Worried about my mum.
Worried about my marriage.
Yeah, and you
worried about my kids.
Your sleep was, I think it was you were really ragey as well. We were both very ragey.
We talked about we might have mellowed over the last few years.
Yeah, and then and we just sort of went, what's going on? Like, it was actually this sort of, and it was like, I think we're perimenopausal. And that was, and we went, well, if this is how we're feeling, and there's no one else is talking about it. And so that was kind of how it was. Just quite an organic process from the potty that we started to then moving into it being much more branded towards women and that.
We're also big advocates on the power of our age. That I noticed working in commercial content creation and when my kids were little, to companies all of a sudden not wanting to work with you anymore because, like, you've done your job, you've raised your kids. But I actually also decide what car we buy. I decide where we go on holidays. I decide all the big ticket items. And we are so underrepresented in market that is one of my big fucking bed bug. What do they call them?
A bed bug. A bed bug.
I can't stand that.
And a bugbear.
And then when a company like Country Road recently used a lady who had grey hair, she was gorgeous, and they got bloody claps for it. And I'm like, why are you clapping?
I know.
It is a little customer. Look at the Country Road shop. It is full of women like that. Yeah. Why are you putting things on tiny, gorgeous, like, anyway, I'm going to take myself my tongue out now.
It's a big thing for all of us, but I think because Kate has worked at the coalface of that sort of industry and really looked at and to sort of experience it and see it firsthand is so frustrating. And just the companies, because all of these companies, particularly all the big multinationals, they know. They've got all the research. Yeah. They've done all the market. They've got all the analytics showing who's on their websites, who's in the stores, who's buying it, and yet they still don't market it to those people,
and
i.e. us.
I used to sit in meetings with marketers, and then I used to get schooled by a 23-year-old graduate on the trends of my era, and I'm like, buddy, I'm living it.
Yeah, it's awful. And I think that's one of the reasons, believe it or not, why I started the podcast, because I started like a blog in 2013, and it was called The Good Girl Confessional, and this has kind of evolved, and now it became a podcast because so many women around me are extraordinary, but they're all over 40. They're all over, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, not that I don't have women around me who are under 40, but all these extraordinary women over 40 who are doing incredible stuff, who have incredible stories to tell, and no one is interested in telling the stories or listening to them. And some of these women are writers, authors, or whatever, and they're saying, oh yeah, stuff just started to dry up once I was, 45 or even younger sometimes. And I just think it's absolutely bullshit that women, I think as we get older, I say we're the bearers of hard-won knowledge. And I think that especially in Western society, that's my tagline. And I think it's true, right? So I think I'm fascinated by the stories of women and, more importantly, getting them out there. But even when I decided I was going to do this podcast, and I have come up with this magazine and I'm going to launch it called WB40, Women Beyond 40. And my big thing though, I started, I put together, paid for logos and did all this thing, all this beautiful, pitch deck, and was told straight away, you have no idea. Sorry, I can't see who would buy that magazine because women over 40 don't like magazines. I nearly fell off the chair. I'm not kidding.
There's nothing for women over 40.
Nothing for women over 40. So I basically, especially during COVID times, can't get funding. I don't care. I'm launching it as an online mag and I'm just doing it. And so many gorgeous women over 40 and over 50 have written for this thing for me already. And so when we launch it, it's about really telling the stories of women written by women for women.
Well, we'd be delighted to support you in that launch.
Oh, thank you, ladies. I would love to interview you and have you on that magazine when we launch, because to me it's just so important. And I mean, you girls are, such, an inspiration for me, because it's true, because it's the epitome of exactly that we have so much more to offer. We've got so much more to give beyond perimenopause, beyond our age. We are more than that. That is not what defines us.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the big motivators for us was women saying about this whole thing that when they start going through perimenopause and into menopause, that that's starting to feel invisible. And that just outrages us. Like, it's just like, no, that's not happening. No,
yep,
not allowed, not going to. We will be blasting those trumpets for as long and as loud as we need to.
Yep, and me too. And I think it's important. It's so important.
What are we going to have to talk about after that?
We'll start a golf podcast.
That'd be really funny.
You are hilarious. I feel the same way about golf that you feel about propagating.
Do you know that a golf course approached like Woogs today and invite me out to their golf course to do a round?
So those who don't know the background story, this week's episode of The Hot Flush, Kim goes off on golf courses, of all things.
I don't know what. Look, it was a story I saw in the paper during the week, and it made me so cranky because it ran off the back of another story about a similar golf course over in our neck of the woods, and I was just like, I am sick of these white privileged old men going, no, this land is out. See, look, I'm ranting. Like, it's just that.
So she was like that, but
good girl.
First, so then I get an invitation extended to Kim from the Wattle Flat Golf Club, inviting her to go and enjoy a round on them, and just to let her know that it's only $50 a year to join.
Oh, yay.
And I'm just like, thank you. I'm going to be gracious and go, thank you, but no. I can walk around and wield a big stick and hit a ball. No, I can do that for fun.
Oh, I can't actually see what they get out of it. But anyway, all the power to them. A lot of women play golf too, so good on you if you do, but no, it's not for me.
No, it's not. And there's not very many women that play it. And those that do, there is not. There's not.
I'm going to check the data.
That's a complete urban myth.
You check the data, because I was trying to be
almost guarantee that 95% of those women who are playing golf are just playing it because their husbands play it.
Oh, yeah.
And just are like, fine, you think you can go out for 8 hours of a weekend and just be on your own and have time to yourself? No, I'm going to come with you.
I think you're right. I also live right near a golf course. And so when, as you can imagine in Melbourne, the stage 4 lockdowns, the cries from the poor white men who couldn't play golf.
24% of golfers are women, 24%.
Oh, all right.
Actually, that is higher than I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, I eat my words. But
and there is a new initiative to try and get more women out on the golf course.
Oh, can we just get rid of the golf course? You can't get more women out there. Just get rid of it.
Turn it into a slip and slide area.
Oh, no. Do you know what? The thing that makes the most money at the golf course is the driving range part, not the 18 holes. And so just because then I would be up for that. The driving range, I will be very happy to stand there with a bucket of balls and a stick and whack them as hard as I can into the great beyond. That I'm happy with.
I could do that, and I
can't believe that we've extended the golf discussion and ran across into another whole podcast.
I'm agreeing, because I could do the driving range, and I quite like the cute little carts. And you could drive the little cart from the driving range to the bar. Am I right?
See, that is right. Yeah. See, let women design this shit.
Yeah.
Instead, they design these great, expansive things.
Evening primrose oil this morning.
And then don't even get me started on the environmental impact of these places. Don't even get me started.
I'm going to have to look into that. I think my local one, which is right near me, they put up big signs saying that it's being watered by, recycled water or some such.
Yeah, but it's the pesticides and the insecticides and the.
We're going to call this #GolfGate. That's what it is.
don't know.
No.
I don't know why. I don't know why. It's
enough.
I don't know why.
Stop it.
Anyway.
Next question.
Do you think I should get a dog? I don't.
Okay, so my next question, I'm going to come back to Inside for a bit, actually.
Oh, yes.
So were you thrilled to be invited onto Inside to talk about perimenopause and to be amongst other amazing women who also were there to talk about it?
Absolutely.
Oh, it was we were so excited, and it was such a, it was just such a thrill, you know.
And I think the unusual thing about the show was, we are not experts in any way, but we seem to hog a bit of the airtime, which was interesting. And a lot of people weren't happy about that. They were like, we should have heard more of her, and we should have heard more than him. And we're like, we actually don't get a say into what goes to air, because we tape for 2 hours and they put together an hour show. So stick it up your pipe and smoke it, because that was not on us. That was not us. But the people they had on the show were each in their own amazing.
Yeah. It was a really great experience, and the other women who were part of it were just, you know, women are just amazing.
To dinner with them, they were just awesome.
I just think women are just the most remarkable creatures. You know, the things that our body go through, men can just walk down the street naked, just shooting their seed wherever they want, and then just keep on moving. They don't have to think about it. There's no propagate. They don't have to there's no, you know, that's it. And then our bodies, we house and grow and feed and nurture, and we are astounding creatures.
Yeah.
And anything like a program like that pulls a group of women together and talks about their experience and provides, you know, medical and expert insights into something. It was just such a privilege to be a part of it, really. I didn't like being in the front and in the middle. I thought that was really mean.
And she didn't like being shot from the side.
And they shoot that there was cameras on the edge, and it was as soon as we got in there and we sat down, Kate just leant to me and was just like, "There's cameras on the sides. There's cameras on the sides."
So then I spent the rest of the 2 hours like this. That's not what we go with.
Do you know what? Look, where I actually, you know, listened to your podcast, and I did read, when you talked about the side angle. Oh my God! Look,
It is illegal to shoot a woman over the age of 40 from the side.
I agree. Or underneath. Don't be shooting under my double chin, girl. Why?
You're right. I know.
Why?
But the fallout from going on the show was we had an enormous uptake of interest in what we were doing, and a lot of women saying, right, that's it, I'm going to the GP.
Yeah,
great.
The best part of it was the amount of people that just went, that is what is going on.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go sort it.
And
that's
great. It was
goosebumps.
I know.
I think get goosebumps when I get
wow, yeah.
I think that was such a big thing for us, where so many women came to the Facebook group, but also approached us through Insta or other social channels, just saying that they thought they had no idea, and they thought they literally were going insane, and that, you know, there was something clearly wrong with them, and that they've gone, oh my God, and how many women in the group now have just gone, I'm so glad I found you. I found my tribe.
Because menopause is mysterious enough, but perimenopause can go for 10 years. And before we started really even talking about it, I was like, perimenopause, what's that?
Yeah. And
then we're looking at symptoms and we're going,
yeah,
tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
Right, that's might be what's that's about. And then there's a story, about people going to the GP. They might be 45 and the GP go, oh, you're too young for that. Off you go, just deal with it.
Yeah.
No, go to another fucking GP who's going to listen to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry about the swearing.
Oh no, you're allowed to swear here.
Yeah.
You're allowed to swear in the confessional, believe me, girls. Sometimes I do. I'm actually quite proud of myself. I don't know if I have. I'll probably listen back and go, yes, you did swear, Sandy. I just forget.
So that was wonderful. I think one of the other great parts of the experience was actually just hearing from some of the experts. So Ginny Mansberg was there, who's written the book, The M Word.
So clever.
And Janice, who was hosting the episode, she would just ask a question and Ginny would just be like, well, there's she just knew figures and stats, and it was just like, oh my God.
She was better being that bright.
I know. And no brain fog there. Let me tell you.
Nice,
no brain fog.
And nice.
Lovely.
Yeah,
and,
lovely.
So, and Nicola, whose surname I can never remember, which is really annoying, who was the lady sitting in the back left with the pink blazer on. And she's a neuropsychologist and
also not stupid.
And her insights.
They just put the village idiots down the front.
Seriously, we're just like, we're the village idiots at the front just for comic relief. Like, no.
I think the really interesting part about hearing you two talk about it is you undervalue what you actually brought to the table. And I think that the reason they had you there was not for comic relief, but because you have actually brought something out into the spotlight and literally into the limelight that really isn't getting talked about enough. And that is perimenopause, it's menopause, it's hot flushes, it's whatever. But you girls have managed to do that and create this extraordinary following of women who have gone, fuck yes. Hello.
I know.
And can I also say some very grateful men?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would say that's true too.
Absolutely.
I think there's actually a lot of women in the group who listen to the podcast with their husbands. And I love that so much because I think once we've been in relationships for a long time and you've got that familiarity, it's very easy if your partner is seemingly being very unreasonable or their behaviour is highly questionable to literally just roll your eyes and go, you are just
bitch.
Yeah,
you're a bitch.
Just pull your head in. And so I think if we've given women the language to be able to go to their families, their workplace, and say, I'm having a bad day, or I've got really severe brain fog at the moment. You're just going to have to treat me kindly, or whatever. And that men are hearing it from other third parties, not their wife, not their wife's friend. They take on so much more. Does cause for awkward moments when you run into someone who follows the blog in Woolworths, Mona Vale, and her husband's there and he listens to it too. And this was in the early years when I was just starting to go out with Rob. There was a lot of gratuitous sex talk, a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk about the tampon gate and then all the gut stuff. And he just did not quite know where to look. God love him. He just was like,
I hope he doesn't listen to last week's episode.
I know, right? I know. Even my besties were like, that was old school. That was old school hot flush last week.
And the funniest thing about it was when we started the podcast last week, we were both in these filthy moods. Like, we were like, I don't want to do this today. I don't want to do this today. I don't want to fucking... And then we started, honestly, by the end of it, I had laughed so much. I thought she was going to have a stroke.
I was going to have a stroke. She did an impersonation of what she'd be like if she was a pillion passenger on the back of the motorbike. And I swear to God, it just took me by surprise. When someone does something and you're not expecting it, and then she did it. It's just, I've been doing it every day since I look at Rob and go, yeah. Oh. And an interesting thing.
My cheeks are sore, girls.
I remember Rob Lowenthal, who set up Wooshka, which is the blogging platform we use, and who went to Woogs right back at the beginning. He approached her as one of his first 2 podcasts. Was Kayte? No, there's 3 of them. He went to Kayte, Graham Richardson, and 2 other guys for a sports one, and then we, that was the 3 starting. And he, I was talking to him the other week, and he said, I don't think you girls fully, you women, I think he actually did. Oh no, maybe he called us girls. He's allowed to call us girls.
Yeah, because I like him.
And he said, I don't think you women know quite what you've achieved. Because I don't think you realise you talk about something not only that doesn't really get talked about, but you talk about it with such openness and frankness and honesty that it takes people by surprise, but then people also feel that's also what then breeds loyalty, like people, because they feel like if you're so willing to share those stories and those vulnerabilities about who you are in your life, then they want to share that with you as well. Then it becomes a real connection.
Yeah.
And I had not really thought of it like that, because we just do us. We don't go, right, there's no this week.
There's no agenda.
We just are two mates who get together and go, blah, blah, blah.
And people tend to like it. So that's lovely.
Yeah.
That is the fabulous part about it. And I will say, as a listener and a fan myself, that like to listen to you girls, like honestly, my cheeks will hurt sometimes. Even now, this is difficult because my face is aching, but it's good. It's good for my wrinkles, right? I don't know. But, it is that kind of really raw vulnerability that you both share. You're extraordinarily honest about your journeys, your mental health issues, the journey with perimenopause, about being parents, about marriages, about all that. These things are friggin' difficult, man. Like, they're just difficult. And you just talk about, like, I feel like I'm sitting in a room with my girlfriends because we talk like that.
The most feedback we get is that they want to be in the conversation.
Yeah, that they feel like they're just having a chat with their girlfriends, and that they'll then actually answer a question. Or when I have my brain fog moments and I go, what's that word? And we move on, and people say, I'm just sitting there yelling it at you.
Oh, yeah, and then you get messages afterwards going, the word was blah, blah, blah. I don't know if it's spelled right, though.
But that is true. It feels like you're kind of just hanging out in the kitchen or hanging out
and that's
with your besties.
Yeah, and I think when we first started, that was sort of what that was pretty much all, that was as far as our sort of goal setting had gone. Was we wanted to just be like, we wanted to be just like, just like we were having a conversation with you. We just wanted to feel like you were having a chat with your friends. That was pretty much as sophisticated as our initial sort of goal setting was.
But that's why it's so beautiful. So I've got to just ask this question, because this is really important for me. You'll laugh when I ask, but I've got to ask it. So after listening to Insight and all these women saying, oh yeah, I drink a lot less alcohol now. And I'm like, I'm on those patches and I'm still doing margaritas and drinking wine. And
I don't know any
podcast is sharing gin with a lot of people.
I don't know any woman in Melbourne who's not drinking a lot.
We're drinking a lot down here.
A lot.
We're actually just on a meeting with another person who has had to pump the brakes. She said that she wasn't even getting drunk after a bottle of wine. She'd just built up her tolerance so much. She goes, I'm just drinking about a bottle of half a night. I can only wear tracky jacks and loose shirts because nothing fits. I don't know, and I'm just eating Uber Eats each day. I don't know what the problem is.
No, but that's true. It's really sad. I've said to a few girlfriends, listen, I'm aiming now for at least one alcohol-free night a week now. Like at least one.
Now is not the time.
Now's not the time.
It's not the time.
Crazy.
And you don't owe anyone explanation. Like, this has been an extraordinary tough year for everyone.
Yep.
And I do believe that the consumption rates have gone up somewhat. I was on the phone to Dan Murphy's for 45 minutes waiting the other day, mind you.
Were you?
Yeah, on the phone to Dan Murphy's.
They fucked up our order.
Oh, outrage.
No,
That's terrible. Do you know my girlfriend ordered a bottle of gin the other day? We were chatting. And at 4:07, she goes, I've just hit the button and I've ordered this. It's called Green Ant Gin. I've never had it.
It's my favourite.
She says it's incredible.
Yeah, it's the best.
I love gin.
On ice. It's the best.
All right, I'm going to order it. So that's what she did. She said it's amazing on ice. Anyway, at 4:07, she orders it. I'm not kidding. At 4:40, they rang her doorbell and they delivered it from Dan Murphy. This is unheard of, especially in Melbourne.
That's a Christmas miracle. That's a Christmas miracle.
It is a Christmas miracle right there, and it's a sign.
So what was your question?
So my question was about drinking. So all these people are saying that they drink a lot less while they're going through menopause. Yes. And I was saying that's not the case for me, but how have you found that?
I've just been steady. Just steady.
She's just steady as she goes.
Just steady. I do notice that sometimes they can exacerbate a hot flush, or that I might feel a bit hot after one glass of wine. Wine seems to do it to me. Like I like a gin or a vodka or something like that. But yeah, the wine is just maybe Diversify.
Basically, since the end of March, I've basically been tapering off with a few non-tapers, with a few little peaks of just some extra little moments of commitment. But now, like, in the month of September, I probably have only had 3 or 4 drinks.
Wow.
And like, peri-menopause is part of it. The menopause is part of it. I've been trying to not drink, for 20 years. And sometimes I've done it, where I've just gone, and I might have not drunk any alcohol for 6 months, or, like, I've sort of done that. But I love the ritual of it, and I love the sociability of it. But I really noticed probably in the last 12 to 18 months that it was actually making me feel really shit.
Yeah, okay.
So then I kind of got angry about that and kept going, because I was just like, no, that's just not going to happen.
That's rude.
I got really sick in end of February, early March. And then that kind of was a bit of a writing on the wall. Like, you're going to have to, because I've got a pancreatic problem as well. And I'm really not meant to drink alcohol.
Okay.
Just power on. And then it's like, okay, that's actually maybe not a good idea. But my hot flushes have gone.
Wow, see, it's interesting, isn't it?
And so I'm just like, if that's what I've got to do, because I was having more than 10 hot flushes a day. Yeah, that's not good.
Oh, that's a lot.
That's like, and so
that's intense.
If I was just having 1 or 2, or not even, if I just had 1, I'd just live with it. But I just was constantly just in a state of drenched sweat. And then if I wasn't in that state, then I was getting anxious about when the next one was going to hit.
Yeah.
So I have a cup of tea a day and maybe a coffee once a week. So my caffeine intake is virtually gone, and I don't really drink much. I don't really drink much at all anymore. And I've been meditating.
Meditating's good.
I've only been doing that for a month, consistently for a month. And I do it at night before I go to bed.
Very interesting how quickly that meditation, when done regularly, your mind can default to in certain stressful situations.
Yep.
Fascinating.
Like, in that month that I've been doing it, I've really noticed a difference. And my shrink was telling me today that it works so well on your neuroplasticity.
Okay.
Meditation. And so he said, that's great, just keep going. And so this month's goal is a set time every day to actually start going exercise.
Okay.
I went for a walk today in that humidity. I was like a puddle.
Were you a puddle?
I was a puddle.
Did you get home and go, fuck,
we are about to get absolutely swamped by ginormous teenage boys. So
okay, my love.
I think we might have to just warn you that school's out.
Do you know, I was meant to text my boys at 2:30 to say whether I could pick them up or not. And then I remembered at 3:10. Oh. I think they worked it out. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. Teenage boys are pretty resilient. They'll be fine, I hope. Yeah. How far do they have far to go?
No, they're fine. They just get a bus.
Beautiful. That's given me a lot of food for thought there, Kim, around drinking. I might try dry July in January.
Oh, see,
I know she hates it. She's just like,
like, you don't get some sort of virtuous blazer at the end of July. It's white and said, I can do
it. hence why I joked and said I'll do it in January.
Yeah, cut down. I'm very tired.
She's isn't she? Should she? I didn't meow at you.
You girls are extreme. Women are beautiful. You're great. I love the friendship that you have. I love the joy that you bring to myself and to everybody else who's listening along. And thank you for shining a spotlight on what is something that should really be talked about all the time.
Thank you so much for the opportunity and coming on your podcast. I look forward to see what you do next.
Thank you. And I'm very, very excited that you could. Thanks for your jumping in. You're both so busy and I know it, so I really appreciate it. So
no worries.
Much love. Stay cool.
Okay.
I know.
Just keep
Plucking.
Bye, girls.
Okay, bye. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Good Girl Confessional podcast. The Good Girl Confessional podcast can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen to your quality podcasts. We chat to really interesting women telling their amazing stories. But it really helps us if you can subscribe, like, and share the podcast. Thanks so much for all of your support. Bye for now.